Hi, I'm Kelly Forshaw-Smith, Head Medical Micropigmentation Trainer for the Finishing Touches Group and Director and Technician of Medicos London. Today we have
Dawes
for interviewing, and her subject is the psychology of hair loss. So Kate is the company director, trichologist, and leading SMP artist for both Medical Hair Restoration Australia and Foli Sim. Kate is a member of the IAT and has been in the hair industry for over 35 years. She is located in Perth, Western Australia, and Kate has become one of Australia's leading scalp micropigmentation artists. In 2019, Kate was a finalist in the WSMPA Australian Artist of the Year and Team Micro International Artist of the Year. She gives regular presentations on both SMP and permanent cosmetics around the world, is an educator on hair loss and also scalp conditions. In 2018 and 19, Kate was on the expert panel at the Team Micro conferences in the UK. She's also helped to run SMP workshops for hair transplant surgeons in 2019 in the ISHRS Congress. Kate has just been announced as the first team member on the FYT for Pro All Female. It is quite an achievement, Kate, I must say, just reading all of that. And I have a massive pleasure all the way from down under to introduce the multi-talented Kate Dawes. Welcome, Kate.
Thank you, Kelly. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. So first of all, I'd like to say that I've actually had the fortune many times to see you demonstrate and speak at some of the conferences. And I have to say, out of everybody I know, you know the most about hair conditions, hair solutions, and everything there is to know about the scalp. So we're in very safe hands when we do our conversation for today.
Oh, thank you.
So how do you combine your trichology knowledge and your SMP knowledge together?
Well, I use my trichology knowledge to help me establish what sort of hair loss it is that I'm dealing with before I do SMP, simply because not all hair loss conditions are suitable for SMP. I find that being a trichologist also gives the client a lot more confidence in what I'm doing. So they know that I come from a background of a medical background as well, as an artistic one, having been a hairdresser too. So yeah, I find the combination of the two works really well together.
Very good. And what's the most common form of hair loss that you come across in your clinic?
Well, naturally, it's male pattern baldness. We see an awful lot of that. I'd say 95% of what we see is male pattern baldness, but of course we do see some female pattern baldness with women, and some alopecia areata. You get the occasional alopecia totalis. And then I do get quite a lot of women coming. I've had a few actually recently coming in for consults, and they've actually got frontal fibrosing alopecia, which is a very nasty scarring alopecia, which is not suitable for SMP until it's totally treated and healed. The hair won't grow back, and SMP is not really suitable for it because it is in the frontal area of the head. So yeah, we see a little bit of that as well, simply because it's closely associated to the use of sunscreen, believe it or not. And here in Australia, you know, with our sun here,
you lucky thing.
Well, it's 38 degrees today, so I don't know.
So just for people out there who maybe are not sure, so the male pattern baldness, just run us through that quickly, roughly what that is. Obviously it can go on forever, but roughly what that is.
Okay, well, male pattern baldness, of course, affects men. It's a hormone genetic-based hair loss. So there's a pretty stock standard pattern of hair loss where it usually starts in the temple areas and starts receding back. You do get some men that will have it starting in the crown area and then the frontal area, and then it meets in the middle. It is measured on a scale called the Norwood scale. So starting in Norwood 2, which is full head basically, to a Norwood 7, which means they've just got the little horseshoe left at the back here. There are differing types of male pattern baldness, but so you also have things like DUPA, diffused uniform pattern alopecia, which means the hair at the back is also very unstable, and they will tend to go totally bald within reason. And also you've got retrograde alopecia, so it's starting from the nape going up as well. So yeah, so there's different sorts in there, but on a whole, it's basically just on top. It's because of the hormone dihydrotestosterone, which affects the follicles basically. So yeah, that's it.
Wow. In a nutshell, that is very informative. That's amazing. So often our clients are coming to us and it's after a journey, they've tried different solutions, they've tried different things. What would you recommend? Like, who would be recommended to have SMP? What type of patient?
Well, we get a broad brand. We get a lot of clients who have gone down the path of medications, hair transplants. I actually consulted a gentleman today who's had 2 hair transplants. He's not able to have any more because he doesn't have enough donor hair left. So SMP is his next stop. So the thing is, with dealing with people that have gone through this journey already, they are quite emotionally affected naturally because a lot of things haven't actually worked for them. So everything has a limitation. Medication has its limits. Transplants have their limits. I mean, they are fantastic surgeries, but they still have a limitation as well. And quite often they've come to us when they're at the end of their journey, they're at the end of their wits, they've had enough, and SMP is really going to be their only option to give them some sort of look of having hair left.
I mean, and again, people out there who maybe are not in the SMP industry, what are we creating with SMP? What sort of look are we creating?
Well, there's 2 sorts for men, basically. So initially you have your buzz cut look. So it's giving them that 5 o'clock shadow of a freshly shaved scalp. Or there's density work. So men that still have some hair left or are starting to thin, starting their hair loss journey. I have plenty of young guys actually coming in who are starting to thin and they're not prepared to take medications because obviously the side effects and things like that. They don't want to do surgery. They don't want to do a transplant. Or they're not suitable for transplant also is another cause. So they come in and they do density work. So here we just add the look of density to the hair. To the existing hair, and then as their hair loss journey progresses, then they end up shaving their scalp hair down and we do a full head basically.
And also you treat women as well, don't you?
Yeah, we treat women as well. I mean, like, you know, most of that is adding density work, so giving the appearance of having more hair, making the appearance of thicker hair, though you do get a bit of scarring and alopecia areatas and things like that too.
Okay. And based on when a client comes to you, do you ever turn anyone away based on their expectations or their psychological state?
Yes, we do. We're very careful in who we treat because some people do have unrealistic expectations of what they're going to achieve with SMP. And that comes down to your consultation with them. We get red flags, you know, we get clients that will email us after consultations with a list of questions, and a lot of them are quite unrealistic. I mean, big one, of course, is when's my hair going to grow back? They obviously don't understand the process whatsoever. I mean, we will eventually do them perhaps, you know, if they then understand what it is that we actually do. But yeah, no, we are very careful on who we do this treatment for, because a lot of them, as I said, have gone down the emotional journey before of hair loss with other treatments and have been unsatisfied. So we want to make sure that they are satisfied with SMP.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people who have come to me after I've said, look at the website, look at the frequently asked questions. They come into the clinic and they're like, oh, I didn't realise it was a needle. I'm like, well,
yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I know.
And obviously from there, the consultation, and then you give them a chance to have a think about it, work out whether it's what they want as well. Because sometimes, say people did just take on these patients, you can actually do more damage to somebody in the long run.
That's right, exactly. A lot of these people hair loss affects them so much emotionally, you know. I mean, that's one of the reasons why a lot of SMP artists do what we do, is because we love being able to help people. I mean, like, I've had so many men come off my treatment bed, you know, in tears of happiness because of what, you know, we've achieved. And it is such a fantastic feeling to be able to, you know, give that to somebody. I mean, I've had absolutely no hair myself. I was totally bald for 6 months. So I understand what it's like. I mean, I knew my hair would grow back because mine was due to medical condition. You know, so it's a very emotional journey for a lot of these people. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any tips or tricks or of managing expectations of these people?
I tell them the honest truth of what it is that we do, and we don't upsell. We don't, you know, use forceful sales tactics. We are very honest with what we do and what we can achieve for them. We never give them, we like to under promise and over deliver, basically. So that's our attitude, is like, we tell them exactly what it is, how it's done, We give them the opportunity to go home, think about it, talk to their loved ones. We tell people to go speak to other clinics as well, because you need to feel comfortable with the person that's doing this for you, obviously. But we tend to just be very honest in how we approach the subject.
Well, I remember, you've got a forum, haven't you, on Facebook that I'm part of, which is all about hair loss, because there's obviously so much. We've got like 15, 20 minutes to talk, but go on the forum. That's what I'd recommend. Can anyone join that forum?
Any SMP or PMU artist is more than welcome to join. It's called SMP Trichology. And if you flick back through all the posts that I've done, and anyone can post anything on there except for your before and afters. I mean, I've sort of stated that, you can post before and afters of an unusual hair loss case, but your normal day-to-day male pattern baldness work, there's plenty of forums on Facebook for that. This is more about asking questions about different sorts of hair loss, scalp conditions. I have gone through anatomy of the scalp and physiology of the scalp, things like that. So, I mean, flick back through all the posts. I'll start reposting things from the beginning as well.
Thank you for doing that. I find it really interesting whenever I look on it, because obviously my family side was obviously wigs and hair pieces back in the day. So all of it's kind of coming up a little bit more, but it's really interesting. So anyone who is in SMP, I would recommend that they go onto it. So what was it called again?
SMP Trichology.
Okay, fantastic. So it's stated that the #1 case of sleepless nights is hair loss, which means we have a unique opportunity to help those who are in need. Is there anything that you would recommend to new technicians to prepare them for those clients who are greatly affected by their hair loss?
Well, firstly, I'd have a lot of empathy for these people. I mean, a lot of SMP artists are actually clients that have had this procedure done and have gone on to train to do it. So a lot of them have already gone through the hair loss process, so they understand what it is like. But you need to understand that everybody's journey through this is totally different, and how it affects them is totally different. Some people aren't affected quite as much, but some people are deeply affected by this. I had, if I can just talk about one client I had that brings back amazing memories for me. He was a young man that came in very rounded in the shoulders, very, came in tracksuit pants and a t-shirt, scruffy beard sort of thing. And when we were doing his treatments, he said to me that he didn't feel like he suited his partner. He said his partner was a beautiful looking male and he really did not suit his partner. And when he came in for his last session, he came in a beautiful suit, purple suit, nice and bright. He stood tall. His partner came with him, and he was a good-looking man. And when he came off the treatment bed, he said, he got up, he looked in the mirror, he goes, "Now I suit my partner." And I just went, "Oh my God, that is so sweet." Like that really touched me, because it was how much it has deeply affected him in his, with the hair loss. Yeah. So when you're treating clients, have a lot of empathy for them. I have seen people just walk up and just pull hats off without asking if you can touch the client. Some clients don't want their hat ripped off. I mean, we actually do our consults in our reception area, in the waiting area. So if there's somebody else in there, you just can't just pull, because they might not want their hat taken off. You need to treat them with kid gloves within reason, you know what I mean? And just understand that they are usually quite emotional about it. For us who haven't really needed SMP, there's many women. I mean, I remember seeing a post on Team Micro once about male artists that have had SMP convert their consults better than female artists. And I don't actually agree with that. Okay. Because I have a very high conversion rate for my consults, and it's about how you approach it. That's all it is, with your empathy and caring nature. And I think most SMP artists are doing this for the right reason. They aren't, they do the process for the right reasons, and they are obviously very empathetic towards their clients. But I would just, for new artists out there, remember that these guys have been through quite a hard journey, and so, you have to sort of gauge each client, and you can sort of feel from them where they're at in that journey, and how you treat them.
No, 100%. Couldn't agree with you more. I know you did a study last year. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, well, last year, actually, I did the study to have some information for when I came over for the Olympia Beauty conference last year in London.
That was fun.
That was great, wasn't it?
It was
Thank
good.
you for the invite. Can't wait for we can travel again. We can't travel yet.
It's going to be lovely, isn't it?
I know. We'll be good once we can. So what I actually did a study of 25 clients, and excuse me while I read my notes here a bit. So I had some questions on a scale from 1 to 5, with 1 being okay and 5 being the worst case scenario. And I asked different questions regarding how they felt about their hair loss. So 72% found that the hair loss was devastating and they lost their confidence. And that's 72, that's a high. And this is all males, mind you. I didn't ask any females, this is all males. 79% said that affected their social life. 28% said work life. 36% love life.
Wow.
50% always wore hats, always. 86% said they actually thought about it a few times a day. So it wasn't just a once in a blue moon. This is 86% a few times a day. So they're quite fixated on it, you know. 79% said that it contributed to their anxiety and depression. So then I asked them to use words to describe how it made them feel. So of course, unattractive was a big one, negative focal point, sad, they felt low in confidence, ridiculed, they felt and look older. One said he felt cheated, which is really, you know, interesting. They felt uncomfortable, worn down, less virile, and also incomplete. So it was quite a interesting study, you know, and getting into your issues there. And I also have read a lot of studies that have been conducted worldwide on the psychological effect of hair loss, and a lot of it came down to the loss of identity.
Yeah.
You know, we use hair, well, I do, especially women do particularly, but men do now so much more as well, to promote our personalities.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm a big one. I change my hair colour and I cut it short, I grow it long, I might shave it off, I do dreadlocks, I do all sorts of things with my hair depending on my mood and how I want to present myself to the world.
Yeah.
So when I had no hair and I couldn't do that, you did feel a sense of loss of being able to express who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, as a female, we can wear hats and scarves and do different things like that. But for men particularly, it is a lot harder. They can't do anything apart from wear a cap.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's very hard for them to express who they are. So it's that loss of identity. And I think for men, it's, you know, when you give them back a hairline, that is a huge, huge thing for men. Just seeing that, you know, and I know they can't style it or anything, but it just gives them something that they feel, you know, because also a hairline gives you your face shape. Yeah. It contributes parts of your face shape. So if you lose that, you know, it's, you lose your whole, you know, sense of face, basically. Yeah.
Wow. That is fascinating. That's absolutely brilliant. I mean, well, it's not brilliant, obviously, for the patients and such, but, you know, the knowledge that you've got there of how it makes somebody feel. I mean, if somebody out there who's thinking, you know, I'm just alone, this is how I feel. Actually, there's a lot of people who, well, lots and lots of people who feel like that. I mean, is there any kind of statistic of how many people are affected by hair loss? Maybe obviously you'll have the Australian side, but.
Yeah, I mean, for male pattern baldness, you know, I mean, a good 80-odd% of men will experience hair loss of some form in their lifetime, you know what I mean? And where there might be a bit of thinning, or, I mean, I'd say it's actually higher than that. And for women, I mean, like they would say it's 50% of women, but it's not. There's a lot higher for women as well. I mean, I believe, you know, a good 80-odd% of women experience some type of hair loss, whether that be something like telogen effluvium, which is just a transition, you know, it's a... The hair regrows, it's just temporary, it's not permanent, you know, it doesn't really require any treatment or SMP treatment, I suppose you could say. You know, so we all experience some sort, really, at the end of the day.
That's such a high amount. So obviously, like you're saying, it's good to be able to actually do this and to be able to do the treatments. Do you think that in the future, so obviously people know about hair transplant clinics, SMP is not as widely known. I'm sure it will be in years to come. But do you think people will, you know, it'll be like a regular everyday thing that people will be coming to the clinic, they'll know a bit more about us?
Yeah, I really do believe so. I'm finding that now here in Australia, SMP is more well-known worldwide than what it is here in Australia. It still is, you know, finding its feet here as an industry. But a lot more clients know what it already is, but they've done their research. They've been researching what it is and things like that, and they've heard about it from different, I think Facebook and Instagram is great because they just throw up ads. If they've Googled hair loss, they just get ads for, SMP, and then they start researching artists in the area and things like that. So I think you'll find that SMP, hair transplants, for example, there's only, really a small percentage of people that are suitable for a transplant.
Right.
Many men get transplanted that are not suitable and shouldn't actually have a transplant. So, but now that SMP's come along, I think you'll find that SMP will be a much bigger industry than transplants. Can I dare say that?
I think we can. What we'll do is we'll report back in a year.
Oh, yeah, it might take a few years to report back. But
I'll say, Kate Dawes says.
No, don't say that. My stepmother's a hair transplant surgeon, and so is my sister. So no, don't say that. I'll get in trouble.
I love it.
But I believe it will be because it's suitable for so many more people. The only limitations on this naturally is the fact that you've got to shave your head. Yeah. Basically. So for men that want hair, that's all they want is hair, then their only option is medication and transplantation, and that's it. As long as they've got the right donor hair. And if they're a Norwood 7 and they've got really fine donor hair, they're not getting a full head of hair through a transplant. There's no way until cloning actually happens. Or 3D printing, that's another one that's coming in, apparently, I've heard. But anyway, all sorts of things are happening. But it's SMP is workable for so many situations, so that I think it will eventually, be a much better option for most men. It's affordable. It's a lot more affordable. Yeah. Great results if done correctly. And at the moment, a shaved head with a beard is the best look out. It looks amazing. So, it's quite a fashion statement here in Australia at the moment, the shaved heads and beards. So,
hopefully. Just out of interest, nothing to do with the psychology of hair loss, but what machine and what products are your favourite?
Okay, well, at the moment, I've just purchased a Microbo Flux S, the wireless, and I'm absolutely loving that. It's fantastic. I use FYT pink needles. Okay. They're amazing. Yeah, they're really fantastic simply because they're the configuration of the needles, they're so tight that the impression is just so perfect every time. It's
what size needle do you use?
Well, I 6, 8 or a 10 basically, depending on the situation. So I swap between. I might use all 3 on one head, Wow. So it just depends. I sort
adapt
of
to it.
Adapt, whatever I feel I need to use is what I use. So it all depends on the skin type, and things and the results I want. So
Fantastic. And I know that you're obviously your family. You mentioned your husband, and I know that your obviously daughter as well are in the business.
Well, both my stepdaughters are in the business.
Both your stepdaughters.
Yeah, so my husband and I own the business naturally, and he does all the admin business side of things like that, which totally frees me up just to be an artist, which is wonderful. Mainly here in Perth. He travels, well, now that he's allowed to travel, he travels over, he's actually in Melbourne at the moment with the girls, so he hasn't seen his daughters or grandkids for 11 months, 12 months. So wow. So it's been a long time for him. So he's over there at the moment. So so Kelly is one of our artists. You've met Kelly?
Yes, I have.
Kelly, yeah. She's an artist in Melbourne, and Diane, my eldest stepdaughter, she does all the admin and a lot of the business side stuff for Melbourne and Sydney.
Very good, very good. So where are you located? Where are your clinics?
So where I'm located in Fremantle, Western Australia. So it's my hometown. Kelly and Omar are in Melbourne, North Melbourne, and then Susie and Nat are in Sydney, and they actually work out of a clinic called Man Cave Sydney, which is my sister's medical clinic for men. So she does medical treatments for men there. So amazing. We have a room in there with them. So it's really
you can't beat family. You can't beat family. Obviously, speaking from myself as well. Obviously it can be a nightmare, and you find that, I don't know, over the Christmas table, maybe you'll start talking about hair placement or densification. But in a whole, it's good, isn't it?
Yeah, well, then we have my stepmother, who's a hair transplant surgeon here, and when my father was alive, he ran that business. So
Wow.
all we ever talked about was hair or business, or which is quite hilarious.
Okay, question then: who's the most passionate about all the hair loss solutions and information?
Passionate or more knowledgeable?
Passionate and knowledgeable. Out of your family, who would you say?
Well, my stepmother, obviously, because she's a doctor.
Yeah.
Though I have taught her a thing or two as well. So between the two of us, because I also studied nutritional medicine, so I know a lot of the biochemistry sort of stuff behind follicles and stuff like that. And yeah, so between the two of us, we're definitely the most passionate about it. Yeah.
I mean, there's no questioning that you're like the guru of scalp conditions and solutions, like in my head with like the trichology and everything. Your knowledge is outstanding.
Oh, thank you. I just can research, actually. That's all it is.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
I love researching.
Yeah.
So that's where, I love reading clinical trials and studies and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I know.
It's got my bedtime reading, but knowledge is power, so they say.
Absolutely is. And I have a passion for learning, definitely.
You can never learn enough. But Kate, I'd recommend to anyone who's seeing this, anyone who's watching, thank you very much for joining us, number one. And then hopefully maybe in the long run, we can do another one all together. And then hopefully in the far future, well, not too far future, we can all meet up in person.
Yes, I'm so hanging out to be able to just, travel again and get on a plane. I mean, we won't be allowed out of our country unless we have a vaccine and have vaccination. Yeah, so they're really strict in Australia. So I'll be getting vaccinated so I can travel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Well, we look forward to seeing you. Kate Dawes, thank you so much. That was Psychology of Hair Loss. If you have any questions or want to know any more, please obviously subscribe and write in the comments below. And thank you very much for watching. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks, Kelly. Lovely to see you again.
Lovely to see you. Have a wonderful evening.
I will. Thank you. You too.
Lovely. Take care, honey. Thank you very much. Bye. See you soon. Bye-bye.